Have you ever imagined riding a subway in America where nobody wore deodorant? You might feel sick every single morning on your way to work. Picture a packed subway car. Dozens of people are standing shoulder to shoulder, raising their arms to hold the handrails. It is 35 degrees Celsius outside, right in the middle of a heat wave. Now imagine that none of them use deodorant. Just thinking about it feels suffocating. But there is a country where many people barely use deodorant, and yet strong underarm odor is surprisingly uncommon. Actually, it is not just underarm odor. Many people there seem to have very little noticeable body odor at all. Sounds strange, right? In the United States and Europe, deodorant is almost a daily necessity. For many people, putting it on in the morning is as normal as brushing their teeth. They use it before working out, they use it before going outside, and when you go to a supermarket, the deodorant section can take up an entire wall. But what happens when you go to a supermarket in this country? Of course, deodorant exists, but unlike in the West, it does not feel like something almost everyone uses every single day. And here is the even more surprising part. Summer in this country is hot and extremely humid. The subways are crowded, the buses feel stuffy. During the rainy season, your clothes stick to your body, and yet strong underarm odor is rarely something you notice there. That country is South Korea. Many people who travel to South Korea are shocked by this. They often say, people here barely seem to have body odor. The real reason is much more interesting than you might think. It comes down to genetics. First, there is something you need to know. Inside our bodies, there is a gene called ABCC11. Sweat itself usually does not smell that bad. What we call underarm odor is not simply the smell of sweat dripping from the body. In the armpits, there are sweat glands called apocrine glands. These glands release certain substances. When those substances meet the bacteria living on your skin, the bacteria break them down. That is when the distinctive strong odor is created. So underarm odor is not really the smell of sweat itself. It is the result of a chemical reaction between substances from sweat glands and bacteria on the skin. But people with a certain variation of the ABCC11 gene produce far less of the substances that lead to this odor. To put it simply, imagine there is a factory that produces underarm odor. In most people, raw materials keep entering that factory. Then bacteria break down those materials and create odor. But in some people, very little of that raw material enters the factory in the first place. The factory exists, but it does not have enough material to work with. So it becomes much harder for a strong odor to be created. And this genetic type is very common among Koreans. That is why Koreans are often described as one of the groups with the least underarm odor in the world. Here is another interesting clue. Earwax. Everyone has different earwax. Some people have wet and sticky earwax. Others have dry, powdery earwax. But earwax type is also connected to the ABCC11 gene. People with wet earwax are more likely to have strong underarm odor. People with dry earwax are more likely to have the genetic type that produces much less underarm odor. And most Koreans have dry earwax. In other words, even their earwax tells part of the story. This is not just about ear cleaning. That may be one reason deodorant culture never became as strong in Korea as it did in the West. There was simply less need for it. Of course, this does not mean every Korean has absolutely no smell. Koreans can have body odor too. But the strong underarm odor many people usually think of, the kind of smell that seems to change the air around you the moment someone raises their arm, is relatively uncommon among Koreans because of this genetic difference. This is not about who is cleaner or dirtier. It is not a matter of hygiene. The body is simply built differently. Humans are all the same species, but depending on region and ethnicity, we carry small genetic differences. Think about it. Some people live their entire lives feeling anxious without deodorant. Others live their entire lives barely ever using it. And that difference may not come from effort or habit. It may come from a code written inside the body from birth.